Welcome to this explainer. Look, I know exactly why you're here right now. You're staring down an exam date, your chest is probably tight with anxiety, your notes literally look like a foreign language, and the clock is ticking. You're panicking. But hey, before you spiral any further, let's just take a deep breath. I promise you this. How you choose to study in these next 48 hours matters infinitely more than whatever time you've already wasted. We're going to fix this right now.
Exam in 48 hours. Have you blown it? It's completely natural to feel like you've already lost. Your brain is slamming the panic button because, well, you know you haven't put in the steady work. But that feeling of inevitable failure, that's just an instinct, and we need to instantly diffuse it. Neuroscience actually tells a wildly different story about what you can achieve under pressure once you stop panicking and start executing. Because here is the absolute truth. Your brain is way more capable than you think. Our thesis today is super simple. We are going to use cognitive psychology and neuroscience to transform that anxiety spiral into a strategic, calculated advantage. Now, quick disclaimer just to set expectations here. These evidence-based methods aren't some magical substitute for consistent long-term study habits, right? And they might need tweaking if you have a cognitive condition like ADHD. But if your goal is rapid exam strategy and success in a compressed time frame, you are in exactly the right place. All right, so let's dive into this highly organized 6-step rescue mission using techniques researched at places like MIT, Stanford, and Cambridge. We're going to cover why cramming fails, how to build memory, working harder, sleep hacks, mistakes to avoid, and then we'll wrap it all up with your exact 48-hour plan. Step 1, why cramming usually fails, or as I like to call it, the passive time trap. We have to understand why your usual last-minute study panic just doesn't work. The fundamental rule of neuroscience here is that the brain does not learn through passive time. Sitting at a desk for 10 hours just staring at a textbook isn't studying. It's literally just sitting. Most last-minute cramming relies on completely wrong methods that trick you into feeling productive while you're actually retaining almost nothing. The difference in methods is staggering. On one side, you've got passive rereading and highlighting, the classic go-to cramming method. On the other side, active retrieval. And the research is absolutely crystal clear on this. A student who spends just 3 hours doing active retrieval the day before an exam will easily, hands down, outperform a student who spent 3 entire weeks passively rereading or highlighting their notes. How you study is exponentially more important than when. Which brings us to arguably the most important discovery in learning science, the spacing effect. Basically, spacing out study sessions so the brain can consolidate short-term memories into long-term retention. See, when you cram one topic intensely, your brain lights up temporarily. It gets shoved into your short-term memory, which gives you this massive false sense of confidence. You feel like, oh yeah, I know this. But without a gap in time to reinforce it, your brain literally discards that information as non-essential 24 hours later. Poof, gone. Now, what's really fascinating is the year 1885. That is actually when German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered this phenomenon. And literally every study since has confirmed that your brain forgets things on a very predictable schedule. But hey, we don't have weeks to space things out right now, do we? So we compress it. Instead of grinding for 3 straight hours on one topic, you study topic A for 30 minutes, then topic B for 30 minutes, then topic C, and then you cycle back around to topic A. That gap, that's exactly where short-term memory consolidates into long-term retention. Step 2, building memory through spacing and recall. Okay, I need to give you a direct command right now. Stop rereading your textbook. Seriously, put the highlighter down. Rereading feels incredibly productive because your eyes are moving and your brain is engaged in following the sentences, but as far as actual memory formation goes, it does practically zero. Memory is built by retrieving information, not receiving it. Let's break down exactly what an optimal study session looks like. Most students spend, 95% of their time reviewing notes and maybe 5% actually testing themselves? This is completely backward. You need to spend 50% of your time strictly testing yourself with flashcards, and the other 50% reviewing only what you got wrong. When you look at a flashcard, close your eyes and really struggle for about 10 seconds to remember the answer, that actual physical feeling of struggling, that is your brain building neural pathways. This method increases retention 3 to 4 times over just reading alone. It's a total game changer. Step 3, work harder using interleaving and focus. We need to talk about this concept called interleaving. Now, I have to warn you right up front. This method feels incredibly uncomfortable and honestly pretty frustrating, but it is dramatically more effective precisely because of that discomfort. Check out this fascinating 2015 study from the University of South Florida. It really reveals the danger of what we call blocked practice.
Blocked practice means doing all the math problems of one type and then moving to the next type. It feels great, right? And it even boosts practice test scores by about 25%. But it creates a total illusion of competence. You're really just executing a pattern. Interleaving, on the other hand, which is constantly mixing up different problem types or historical periods, forces your brain to constantly ask, wait, what strategy do I need here? It absolutely crushes that illusion of competence. But the payoff? On the actual exam a week later, the interleaved group scored nearly double. The mental struggle is exactly where the learning happens.
To sustain this kind of intense work, you absolutely cannot do 8-hour marathons. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that controls focus and working memory, has a very limited energy supply. It physically depletes. So we're going to use a modified Pomodoro technique. Study intensely for 50 minutes, then take a 10-minute break. But listen to me, do not scroll social media. You must use those 10 minutes for physical movement. Do push-ups, stretch, go walk outside. This increases blood flow to the brain and literally physically resets your focus. After 4 of these cycles, take a longer 25-minute break to eat some complex carbs and protein.
Step 4. Sleep, the ultimate study hack. Now, this brings us to a truth that might make you panic even more, but you really need to trust the science here. In the final 24 hours before your exam, sleep is scientifically far more important than cramming. Sleep isn't just downtime. It is the active, physical reorganization of your neural pathways. There's this really famous study from UC Berkeley. They took students learning complex material and split them into 2 groups. One group slept, the other stayed awake. The result? The sleep group retained nearly 40% more information. During sleep, your brain is literally replaying and cementing everything you just forced into it during those Pomodoro sessions. Without sleep, your studying is basically like writing in the sand right before the tide comes in. The essential takeaway here is choosing 7 to 9 hours of sleep over pulling an all-nighter. I know it's tempting, but the all-nighter is a complete trap driven by sleep deprivation psychosis. You might feel sharp and awake, but you are actually cognitively impaired. You're slow, and you're super prone to making mistakes. Studies actually show that getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep yields a full letter grade higher on average than pulling an all-nighter. You have to honor your brain's need to consolidate. Step 5. Mistakes you must avoid. Let's make sure you don't fall into any last-minute traps. Knowing the most common study mistakes will save you hours of wasted effort and prevent cognitive decline right when you need your brain functioning at its absolute best.
Let's run through these super rapidly. First up, perfectionism. Drop it. Aim for 70% mastery. Moving quickly forces you to grab the essentials and just discard the noise. Second, passive consumption. Watching YouTube summaries is not studying. You need to actually produce answers out loud. Third, distractions. A single phone notification costs you 15 whole minutes of focus just to get back on track. Put the phone in another room. Fourth, dehydration. Skipping water reduces your cognitive performance by up to 15%. Fifth, ignoring your strengths. Make sure you review what you already know just to build up some confidence. And finally, cramming the night before. Like we just talked about, this actively hurts your performance by disrupting your memory consolidation.
Step 6. Your 48-hour action plan. This is your action roadmap. It's time to synthesize all this neuroscience into a concrete, hour-by-hour plan that you can start executing immediately. Think of this as your battle plan for the next 2 days. Here is your exact timeline. Hours 0 to 4, create your flashcards and do your first Pomodoro cycles of pure active recall. Hours 5 to 14, use interleaved practice to mix up topics, force your brain to adapt, and really target the questions you're getting wrong. And don't forget those physical breaks. Hours 15 to 28, do some light active recall review, followed by 7 to 9 hours of real restorative sleep. Finally, pay close attention to these final hours, 28 to 48. Specifically, by 2 p.m. on day 2, you must completely stop studying. I mean it. Your brain is full. Any further cramming just creates interference and spikes your anxiety. You have to honor your brain's need to consolidate the information you've given it. Eat well, hydrate, and get another full night of sleep.
I know you're looking at the clock right now, and yeah, you can't change the time you've already wasted, but you now possess the absolute ultimate strategic advantage for the next 48 hours. You know exactly how to build memory, how to force your brain to work smarter, and how to lock it all in with sleep. The only thing left to do is execute. So as soon as this explainer ends, I want you to turn off your screens, let that anxiety fuel your focus, and get to work. Are you going to let the panic defeat you, or are you ready to use the science and absolutely ace this exam? Good luck.